Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 161 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, where today we are doing Behind Enemy Lines, as you can see by the presence of our good friend Antoine Saley in the box below. Antoine, how
Two
you doing?
days after the wake of the Dolphins' loss that collapsed the season.
Yes. Before we talk Jets and Dolphins Jets rematch, and I don't think we need to revisit the Dolphins Monday night collapse. Maybe we'll look back at the Black Friday game. However, number 61 is going to be a shout out to Roy Foster, first round pick of the Dolphins in 1982, a guard out of USC. Started 9 years for the Dolphins, made a couple of Pro Bowls, was one of the starting guards when the Dolphins went to the Pro Bowl in that 1984 season. Last time they had the number one seed. And one final note on Roy Foster. I just saw that today. I didn't. It's not something that I knew, but it's really cool. Only player to block for Dan Marino, Joe Montana, and Steve Young.
Oh,
Because
wow.
he finished his career with the 49ers. So shout out to Roy Foster.
That might be the only man whose opinion I'll ever respect about who's the greatest quarterback.
There you go. Then we should
Because
try to
I
get
mean
on that.
he's played with three, probably at all different stages of his career. But I mean, you play with three of the contenders.
He played, I think, toward the end of Montana's career. He played in the prime of Marino's career, and he played in the prime of Steve Young's career. So
Wow.
he might be skewed there on Montana maybe a little bit, but anyway, obviously he would have an interesting perspective. We are back to the present. Dolphins Jets rematch, and all of a sudden this game, as I stated earlier on the podcast, a little bit more intriguing than it might have been a week ago before Zack Wilson actually played like an NFL quarterback again, or sorry, resembled anything close to the second overall pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, that's the best game he ever played. I mean, threw 3 touchdowns there. Looked like, I mean, he was just doing a lot of good off schedule stuff too, as well. So, I mean, he was as confident and as accurate as I had seen him like ever in his career. So it's definitely. It's going to be an interesting game. See if he can do that once again. It was sort of like the Kansas City game. He did that too. I thought he did a really good job against the Chiefs as well. But he wasn't able to duplicate that right after that. So it'll be interesting to see can he continue this momentum, unlike he was able to do against Kansas City.
I wanted to ask you this question, Antoine, because a lot of people were high on Kyle during the draft. Are his issues fixable in your opinion?
You mean Zach?
Zach, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was looking confused. I was like, how? Yeah, I mean, I thought he
Kyle
needed to go
Wilson,
to
Zach Wilson, same thing.
Yeah, I thought him going to a team where it had a first year head coach and also a first year offensive coordinator at the time, and Mike LaFleur, I thought was a detriment to him because I mean you have all these guys that are learning on the fly, and then you needed somebody that he needed to go somewhere that had a lot of experience, and then that just wasn't the case. And I think now they're trying to play catch up. They also handing him the keys to the car when I don't think he necessarily earned it. Yeah, to be honest with you, they just told him like, okay, you're the starting quarterback from day one. Just go try to win us some games. But you look at all around these other rookie quarterbacks around the league. Even C.J. Stroud, I thought he had to earn his starting job too. Bryce Young as well, even though he's struggling right now too. But I think they are fixable, but it's going to have to come. It's going to be a really good quarterback coach in order to do it. Like I think he's going to have to go somewhere else and try to revive his career.
My question, not having seen the game, and I think you mentioned something, did some plays off schedule. Was the pass pro like NFL level, or was it what we saw against the Dolphins, and then he just did a lot on his own?
Well, I mean, yeah. I thought it was just definitely a lot of off schedule stuff. There's a lot of accuracy too. I mean, he just didn't. I mean, he's to the point now like he has nothing to lose. Like, and as you guys know, when you're playing, you have a player that has nothing to lose. He's like, yeah, what's going to worst can happen to me? Get benched again? I mean, he's already been benched like 3 times in the last year, so he's going out there playing loose, trying to have fun, and I think it resembles like how he was as a rookie. Whereas he's probably times he's gonna make mistakes too, but also he's gonna go out there and just chuck the ball, try to chuck the ball all over the place as well. So you're gonna get some good games, kind of like you did against Houston. You're also gonna get some games where he's probably going to throw 1 or 2 interceptions as well. You just have to hope through the last 4 if you're the Jets that he minimizes the mistakes that he had. I think he does lead the league in fumbles, or at least he's up there in terms of that as well. So if you're the Dolphins, I think the game plan is to try to get to him, and hopefully he has issues once again holding on to the football.
Want to ask you a little bit about the run game. Breece Hall has had a relatively successful season. When you have no pass game, you're still able to gain yards. I look at that as success. How much of a threat do you think that the run game could be for the Dolphins, who have had success containing every running back they faced, except for probably the season opener this week? They had a relatively good, easy time containing Derrick Henry. Do you think that the Jets could sustain a rushing attack against Miami?
I mean, it's going to be up to can Zach, have another game like how he did. If he can, then I definitely think you kind of saw against the Texans, the running game started to open up, especially in the second half, where Breece and also Dalvin Cook at times were finding holes as well. But, if they're not, then I think you're going to kind of see what you saw against the Dolphins on Black Friday and other teams as well, where teams are stacking the box with 8 or 9 guys up there, and then they don't respect the passing game. So it's going to be up to Zach to be able to keep them honest and get the ball down the field and, be accurate, because otherwise then teams are going to continue to just load the box, and Breece Hall is going to have a tough go at it. I think what's also helping Breece is being a factor in the passing game. I think, being a safety valve for Zack Wilson, where, if things get tough or a pass rush comes, he can just dump it off to Breece, and Breece can, do his thing in the passing game and get you 10 or 15 yards too as well.
52 receptions for Breece Hall, which is a hell of a lot of catches for a back.
Exactly. So really look at the rushing yards. It's not a whole lot, but you have to provide context with that too as well. But he is having a fantastic year, I think, when you're adding in the all-purpose yards.
Not that it matters all that much right now, but I'm dying of curiosity. What's your take on the whole Zack Wilson supposedly telling Saleh, no, I don't want to get back in there?
Well, I mean, I think the hesitation was like a lot of people just blamed him for the offense and like how it was. I mean, he started after Aaron Rodgers got hurt. He started, 9 games for the Jets too, and offensively they wasn't very good. I mean, they up till last week they only scored 10 touchdowns in 12 games offensively, and then last week they just went on a rampage and scoring 3 offensive touchdowns, which was the most all season long. The other time they scored 2 were against in the loss against the Chiefs. So I just don't think I think one, it was probably like he didn't want to get to be the victim and be blamed for if the Jets ended up struggling once again. And 2, also, I think, it seems like the writing's on the wall where I think both of them are going to part ways after the end of the season, simply because the Jets have to decide whether they're going to pick up his $23 million option. That's highly unlikely unless something crazy were to happen. I just can't see that, especially with Aaron Rodgers coming back too as well. And then in that case, do you keep him another year, especially considering what has transpired the first 3 years, or do you go out, either get a veteran, maybe like a Ryan Tannehill, who we all know, or somebody, or draft somebody as well? You could do both too as well.
Hold on. Since we're talking about Ryan Tannehill, and obviously we know that Aaron Rodgers probably wants to continue playing and will continue playing with the Jets. But if Ryan Tannehill is the starting quarterback for this New York Jets team, how many wins do you think that they have right now?
Probably about 7, I would probably say. I think they would have had 7 wins. So, they would be in the midst for the playoffs. I don't know if they would be a playoff team, but they would certainly have probably about 2 more wins. They could have beat the Falcons, and they might have got another win outside of that too, maybe the Raiders or something like that too as well.
Or if they just kept Joe Flacco, another one.
Yeah, from what I understand, not everybody in the building was on board with that, what I've been told. So, like, Robert Saleh loves Joe Flacco, but not everybody was on board bringing him back, especially the way the season did it last year. If you remember the game against Miami, the 11-6 game, where it was just a struggle. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen. So I think after that, people were not necessarily on board of bringing Flacco back.
But ugly game.
Go ahead, Poop.
No, I was going to say it was a butt ugly game. It was good for the Dolphins because it got them in the playoffs. But in terms of aesthetics, woo!
Yeah,
Go ahead, Omar.
Stink bomb.
That was terrible. That was that was what I've watched some bad football. That rates up at the top.
This segment is brought to you by You Break Wheel Fix, which is a sponsor behind Enemy Lines. You Break Wheel Fix is a complete wheel repair and refinishing solutions located in North Miami. Over 25 years of experience repairing damaged wheels from cracks and bends, along with any type of refinishing job. They also do custom wheels and brakes, customizing your colors. If you're interested in getting your car pimped out, call Mark at 305-748-0112 or check them out on social media at You Break Wheel Fix. You Break Wheel Fix. Sounds spelled just as it sounds. Let's talk a little bit about this Jets defense, because they had a effort where it seemed to me the last time they played the Dolphins on Black Friday that the Jets defense quit. They were just like, we're not doing anything. We're not moving the ball with this quarterback. We can't sustain this much longer. We're taking our foot off the gas. Is that something that you agree with, Antoine, or do you feel like they just really got overmatched by Miami?
I think they got tired. That's basically what it is. Well, you got these 300-pound guys, and they're trying to stop the run, and the offense is going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And then the Dolphins just decided to just pound them with the run. I mean, you're going to get tired. Naturally, that's what it is. And it's been a long year. And it was a short week, by the way. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a typical, Sunday to Sunday game. And it went from Sunday to playing on Friday. So naturally, in that situation, they're going to get tired. I don't know if they necessarily quit. I just think that, the Dolphins I think the Dolphins run the ball really well. That's why I didn't, me and you, Omar, kind of talked about this in a previous podcast. That's why I think they need to run the ball a little bit more. Like, be efficient there. I think they are a physical team, but I think the aesthetics of it. I think people just think they're a finesse team because they like to throw the ball a lot. But
yeah, people who are on this podcast.
Who?
Yeah. But yeah, I think they are. I think they can be a physical team. I think they need to be, especially considering right now their offensive line issues. Like, this is the perfect situation. The Jets, I think, are 29th in rushing defense coming in this game. You have to be able to run the football effectively, take some pressure off Tua. I know whether Tyreek plays or not, I think that's the best course for them to win. But yeah, I think to answer your question, I think the Jets defense really got tired. And, I think the perception is they did quit. But I just think that, when your offense is not doing anything, what else do you want them to do? Especially considering they've been, carrying a heavy load all year.
But yeah. I think I would make the argument, Antoine, that ranking of the Jets run defense is very misleading, because what happened to them against the Dolphins has happened before as well, where the defense wears down from being put back on the field time and time again because of the 3 and outs. And then at some point, teams just also don't have to take many chances against that pop gun offense, and then can focus on running the ball. And now, if
you're not wrong. You're not wrong to this day. I think a lot of it is also the explosive plays that they've given up in the run game, where you talk about. I think losing Al Woods was a big blow. I mean, when you have a guy that's 350 pounds, that's really your big time run stopper, and you don't have that because he tore his Achilles, it hurts. It hurts. And I definitely think, the pass defense has been excellent for the Jets. You see the numbers, but they have not allowed a 300-yard passer in 31 games, which is, I think, second in the league. The Saints have number 1 right now at 30-something too. But, I definitely think it's really the explosive plays that's really gotten the Jets, and reason why they're 29th in rush defense right now. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, did Woods get hurt at MetLife?
Yeah. Against the Giants.
That damn turf, which obviously, as we know, got Jalen.
Yeah, 3 Achilles injuries that happened on that field. Aaron Rodgers, Al Woods, Jalen Phillips.
That's troubling right there. Where you talk about their secondary, do you feel like the challenges are different for this Jets secondary if Tyreek doesn't play? I mean, obviously Tyreek is the most dangerous weapon in the NFL. How does that change? I mean, clearly the Jets are probably going to prepare for Tyreek, but if he's not in the game, how does that change your game plan?
Oh, it's huge, because, I mean, Tyreek was having success against the Jets secondary the first time. I mean, as good as Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed are, I mean, they were getting beat occasionally by Tyreek Hill just because, I mean, he has that top level of speed that you're just not accustomed to seeing on a regular basis. And no matter how good you are, it's going to be times where you get beat. So he's not out there, I mean, it changes your whole game plan, because now you're going to shift your attention probably more to Jalen Waddle, and then just say, you know what, if the other guys beat us, then so be it. But we're not going to let this guy beat us regularly, because he also has a a different dynamic of speed too. And then you only have one person to worry about, as opposed to having two dynamic playmakers at the wide receiver position. So I definitely think it'll be huge, especially considering how good the Jets secondary is with Gardner and Reed and Michael Carter II, who I think is very underrated as a slot corner in this league.
Did Zack Wilson make you enough of a believer to make you think the Jets could give the Dolphins a lot of problems on Sunday?
I think their defense is gonna keep them engaged. So, but to answer your question, I need to see it. I need to see it more.
You just saw it last week. What you talking about?
You're a hater. You're a Zack Wilson hater. Admit it, Antoine.
You just saw it last week.
I need to see it again. But I think this sets up for a type of game that's going to be similar like the Raiders game. I think it's going to be like a 2013 game, somewhere around there. It's going to be low scoring, especially if Tyreek doesn't play. I think the Dolphins, if they're going to pull it out, it's going to have to be by the running the ball, and then also their defense is going to have to play a lot better and force some turnovers there. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, I seen it last week against the Texans, but it's been few and far between in Zack Wilson's career. So until he does it again in back-to-back weeks, I'm not necessarily a believer as of now.
But you've been covering this division long enough, Antoine. You know that all teams are familiar with one another. They probably don't even need the game plan and practice, because they know what each other does. They know each other's MO. You don't think that the Jets will get up to ruin Miami's season?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's why I think it's going to be a close game. Like, I think, especially considering what happened on Sunday. But, yeah, on Monday night with the Dolphins. But, yeah, I definitely think they're trying to play spoiler. I mean, technically the Jets aren't eliminated, but it will take a lot for them to make the playoffs. But, last year they wanted to play spoiler. Obviously that didn't happen week 18, for them to get another opportunity to do that. I'm sure they would want to get up and, they don't want to go 0-2 in the division. I talked to Solomon Thomas yesterday, also Jermaine Johnson. They hate going 0-2 against divisional opponents too. They know, Dolphins don't like them. They don't like the Dolphins. It's a lot of beef there. But yeah, this is a big game.
I mean, I grew up in the Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Brian.
Different type of beef than that. Different type of beef than that.
Do we really have beef in the division anymore?
Not like that. No. If you're compared it to that, then no. But this is totally different. I mean, you see each other all the time. I mean, and then quite frankly, a lot of Jets players live down there in the off season. So, I mean, they see each other all the time. I mean, they don't want to go 0-2 to somebody. And then you have to see each other, in the off season, and they're going to be bragging about it and everything like that too. So, yeah, it's big for those kind of bragging purposes.
Omar?
Poop? No, with the receiver unit that Miami has, any fear factor with Braxton Berrios? Because obviously somebody's going to have to step up. There's the cast of Cedric Wilson, Braxton Berrios. You've seen Braxton. Any fear injected into your heart about what Braxton Berrios can do to that Jets secondary?
Not in mine, but I think in Jets fans, yeah. I mean, because we've seen it before where guys that leave the Jets, they come back and they end up having these monster games against, these revenge type games. So, I mean, yeah, this could be a game where, like I said, again, low scoring, but, have Braxton Berrios, get the return and then take it to the house for a touchdown potentially, or, some kind of, end around play or, special play that Mike McDaniel might have. But yeah, I definitely could see him, getting involved type early, especially against, the Jets defense, which, the pass defense is one of the best in the league. And, in order for them to have success against them, you're going to have to do some different things. Otherwise, if you just go out there and just try to chuck it all over the place, especially considering the state of the offensive line, as we talked about, it could be a long day for Tua, especially against a guy like Quentin Williams, who's going to be right over the center. He's licking his chops. Trying to get to his former teammate at Alabama.
Licking his chops at Liam Eichenberg. Eichenberg handling the center position. That's definitely going to be an interesting matchup, probably the biggest matchup of the game. But I wanted to ask you about another revenge opportunity. Robbie Chosen and Poop is going to be like, what? Why are we talking about Robbie Chosen? Former Jets player. I have argued and continue to argue, and Poop thinks I'm crazy, but I think Robbie Chosen is here because he's the only player who can replicate what Miami's offense does when they have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle on the field in terms of the speed. How dangerous do you think Robbie Chosen, if activated, could be to the Jets secondary?
Well, he has speed. So anytime you have a guy that has speed like that, obviously not as good as Tyreek, but he has like top level speed is something you have to, take into account for too. And, again, having him on the opposite side or maybe the same side at times as Waddle, you could definitely confuse the defense there and, be some misassignments and things, blowing coverages. And then all it takes is one time. And then you get a guy like Robbie out there, deep in the secondary. And I think the Jets secondary, as good as the cornerbacks are, their safeties are a little bit hit or miss. Jordan Whitehead has missed some tackles, missed some plays there. Tony Adams is still young in his career there too, as well, still learning. So if you can get past their cornerbacks and then go deep against this, get one-on-one with their safeties, that's game over there. And I definitely think Tua would be able to take advantage of that and get a long touchdown.
See, Poop, I told you. Look at that. Robbie Chosen can be a difference maker. We will see that.
I'm not saying like he's gonna go for like 7 catches for 150 yards, but I definitely think he can score a touchdown. He could get he could blow the top off the defense there.
Sure, and I'm sure you didn't contact Antoine before the podcast and go, listen, I'm going to ask you about Robbie Chosen, say some nice things about it.
Listen, there's only one. I keep telling you, Poop. There's only one reason Robbie Chosen is still around, for the fear of what happens if one of those two guys get hurt, because you can't change your entire offense. You saw what it looked like when they had to change their entire offense mid-game. Okay, well, at least now you have a game plan. If you're gonna be, you're gonna have to have a game plan if you're gonna be playing without Tyreek. And
here's the thing too, like, yeah, you got wide receivers that are home run hitters.
Oh, I think Antoine just froze on us. See, it's not just you has bad internet, Omar.
Oh man,
like a baseball analogy.
Okay, like, we missed you in that whole baseball analogy.
I was saying you got single hitters, double hitters, and home run hitters, and Robbie Anderson is solely a home run hitter. So I definitely think that's kind of why he's there in Miami.
See, yeah, but you can't see it. To me, Omar, I mean, let's be honest. Even I understand what you're saying, and there is some validity to that. But you lose Tyreek, you have to kind of change.
We saw that on Monday.
Yeah, I mean,
well, it's more difficult if it happens during the game, where your game plan's already set around him, and that's what you're going to do. If they know he's not playing, and I'm gonna suspect if he's not playing, they already know if he's not playing. Chances are we may not find out until Friday or Saturday or even game day, but I think they know, and their game plan is going to be based accordingly. To me, maybe the biggest matchup in this game is on the other side of the ball, and whether the Jets' offensive line can prevent the Dolphin pass rush from dominating the game the way it did on Black Friday.
How many backups y'all got on your line now, Antoine?
I gotta count, but this is 11 straight. This is 11 like different combination, and like this will be the 15th game. So yeah I mean,
considering the success that Zack Wilson had against Houston on Sunday, that was proven. And Zack Wilson, it can be done, having success offensively with backups on the offensive line. Am I right, Omar?
You had to piss off Tuanon, didn't you? You had to just lay that at the altar for Tuanon to come after you and say, "Look, Zack Wilson did it."
But yeah, to answer your question, you have 3 backups on the line. Like, although I say Joe Tippett is more the starter now at this point, because Connor McGovern's out for the year, and Joe Tippett's going to be their center moving forward. So yeah, it's like two backups.
Well, then it's not the same thing. So now the excuse is valid again.
But both of these teams have been tortured on the offensive line, I think, more than anybody else in the league.
Everybody in the NFL has been tortured on the offensive line.
Not like these two teams, though. Not like, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, but yeah, it's these two like lead the league in different combinations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead. What's the status of our former Dolphin, Billy Turner? Is he anywhere near playing again or no?
You might see him, yeah. I mean, I know Max Mitchell wasn't really effective last week, but yeah,
That's
you don't want to see Billy Turner out there. I'm just gonna put it to you like that. Yeah, you don't. Yeah,
in what sense? In what
You
sense?
done?
no, he just hasn't been effective. That's
Can't
probably
be
the
any worse
nicest way
than
to
Max
put it.
Mitchell was in that first matchup. Dolphins
No,
were good.
he wasn't effective last week either, like Max Mitchell. But I mean, that's you got to put somebody at their right tackle. I
You gotta
mean,
have somebody, yeah.
it's
No,
either
that's
him
good
or
for the
Billy Turner
Dolphins,
at
though.
this point.
Damn, I like Billy Turner too. But I get it. Sometimes you get cooked. You stay in
Yeah,
up a little bit too long.
we were covering it. Well, I was covering the team when they drafted him. So I mean, I'm surprised he's still in the league. To be quite honest with you, he's lasted a long time. Like
Mhm.
to be quite honest with you, I didn't when he left Miami when Gates cut him in 16. I was thinking, yeah, he may not last much longer, but this actually turned out a solid career at this point.
Yeah, I thought he was the one player during that Gase era that didn't deserve to be cut because I remember he was forced to play left tackle, a position he never
Yes,
played in that game, and then he gets cut the next week. Come on, brother! Like he was actually the one salvageable piece. You know how I felt about Dallas Thomas. You could
yes, I do.
you could have chucked that guy like 2 years prior to that. But Billy Turner he caught a stray in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Gates was just trying to send a message. That's what I think it was.
Oh,
Message worked clearly
yeah.
because that was the birth of the unicorn after that.
Exactly. Like they went 10-6, made the playoffs.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jamil Douglas still in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. I think he might be on somebody's practice squad.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, he lasted a while on people's practice squad and bouncing on and off, but I think his days in the NFL are done. Pooper's going to check it
Yeah.
now because
I am going to check while you guys continue chatting.
Robert Saleh. Obviously, we had the embarrassment of a text exchange being shared publicly, which is just beyond acceptable when you're in the media. You just don't cross those lines because you're impacting everybody. But do you think he survives this season?
Yeah, I think he gets a mulligan. Like I'm pretty like I've talked to people like the plan is unless something, crazy happens in the last 4 games, like he'll get a mulligan for this year simply because Aaron got hurt and the team just hadn't been the same. And the players like him. The players really do, no matter what's happened the last 3 years, like and he has a losing record. The players really respond to him. The defense has been phenomenal. We'll see how he is as a head coach, like in the end. But the players do like him, and I think the organization really does like him. It's just about trying to get the quarterback position with Aaron right. But yeah, I think for what I understand, he'll get a mulligan, and then but next year they got to win. They not only do they have to make the playoffs, they might have to win a playoff game in order for him to save his job, because otherwise, not only he might be fired, but they might totally clean house, and then that might also force Aaron Rodgers to retire in that point too. So yeah, they have to get it done. They have to be a contender next year, or otherwise, it's going to be wholesale changes.
Mm-hmm.
Confirmation: Jamil Douglas was waived by the Giants at the end of training camp in 2022 and has not been signed since. So, Omar, where's my? Whoop, there it is.
I get a mint now every time I'm right.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't think I heard his name for a little while either.
Yeah. He was cooked. He was cooked back then. Well, Antoine, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you continuing to do great work there for the New York Daily News. And then you've also got a podcast. I actually joined your podcast on the Believe Network. What's the name of the podcast, Antoine?
Back Page Breakdown.
Back Page Breakdown. How often do you go? Once a week? Twice a week?
Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
Tuesdays
we'll have
and
another
Thursdays.
one on.
No game
on
recap?
Yeah, sometimes depending on where I am, like home games, I do a recap. Away games a little bit, trickier. But I may.
Man, you can make it happen in the hotel, Antoine. Come on now. What you running the streets after the game? What's going on?
It depends on where I am.
I got
I probably will be running the streets this week.
What's the one place in Miami that you look forward to go? Oh, I know you probably flying to Fort Lauderdale. I know you're a Fort Lauderdale guy.
Yeah.
What's the one place in South Florida you look forward to coming back to? Please don't say
no. I was does Tootsie's count?
Hey, if you're in the back room getting some wings, it does.
Exactly. Like they got good ways to like you don't
They
want to
got
turn
good
me over
food
their
at Tootsie's.
ways.
I don't know. People play like they don't have good food at Tootsie's.
Nah, their wings are good though. Like seriously. Like
Absolutely.
they got some of the best wings in South Florida.
I would put them right up there with any wing spot. Tootsie's
seriously.
wings are phenomenal. And the
I've
seafood rice.
I've gotten to go food from there, like after games.
I have as well.
Yeah, it's convenient. It's right there, so I might as well like pick it up and go to the crib.
Antoine, Poop has no idea of anything we speak of. A wholesome, wholesome life.
Omar, just because I don't say anything doesn't mean I don't know what you're talking about.
All I gotta say is seafood rice. You know where I'm talking about. All right, Antoine, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining All Dolphins podcast. Again, this episode is brought to you by You Break Rule Fix, where you can get all of your real repair and customization work done. Just call Mark at 305-748-0112. And we will be back tomorrow for another episode of All Dolphins podcast, breaking down the first practice of the week.